Good morning. It's 8 o'clock already. It's VapeAM. Today, let's talk about the Pulse X from Vandy Vape. It's VapeAM. We're talking about the Vandy Vape Pulse X RDA today. Good morning, everybody. I hope you are having a great day. I'm Eli Juicy Jones. This is VapeAM, this television show brought to you from Orbital Vaping Headquarters, high in orbit above Seattle, Washington. I hope you have a cup of coffee or tea, caffeine, and to vape. I'm vaping on my little dot squonk here with the old Pulse. That's what I'm doing. Got my previous Pulse, and we're going to build on this Pulse right here today. And I'm vaping on this Let's Easy Gold from my friends over at Good Juice Vape in Bremerton, Washington. Shout out to you guys. Hi, y'all. Everybody, good morning. Tom King, James Rivera, Old Vape Guy, Gary, how are you? DB Cooper, I hope that everybody is doing okay. Shout out to Vaping Michael B. Great to see him. Had a nice conversation with him yesterday. And I hope you're doing well. And shout out to Brandon, our buddy, who had brain surgery. If it wasn't last week, it was the one before. But anyway, I hope you're doing well. Tell us if you're doing all right. I know that you had a few follow-up surgeries and stuff, so let us know what's going on. There's our friend Mark Jones from the UK. Good morning, my friend. I am enjoying some PG tips, actually. I think I've told you that before. Is the tea we drink here. Maybe some Builder sometimes, if they've got that at the store. So the Pulse. How many of you guys out there have a Pulse? First of all, this show's on twice a week, Wednesday and Saturday. It's a morning show, 8 o'clock Pacific, but you can watch on the replay. We do the half up front where I go through all the builds and we do that stuff. And then the last half we hang out. So stick around if you want to hang out. But if you're watching on the replay, don't worry about it. You can just watch the beginning and skip out. I want to know everybody who has a Pulse already. This is the old Pulse. And they have a Pulse V2 coming out here pretty soon. But this is the Pulse X. And one of the things you'll notice right away is that it has this crazy X cross-shaped deck. And I guess the idea behind this is that it allows you to do vertical builds as well. Is that right? So this should allow you to build vertically or horizontally. It has a squonk that comes out from up here. And is that a return down there? I'm not sure. It's too high to be a squonk return. I mean, what's the point? You can't drain any e-liquid out of that. Maybe if you get lucky and it drains down the side and you have it inclined. Anyway, it's got little Phillips / flathead dual screws on the grubs. It has a locking top. It has, on the top cap here, you'll see 810 top with the O-ring on the inside, which, as you guys know, I prefer. And it's got an O-ring here on the top, but see, it's got a slanted airflow in here. And those 4 holes right there line up with these 2 holes here. This is dual only. I wasn't able to get this to be single. Although they could just get rid of one of these and it would work as a single, wouldn't it? And there is the locking place right there on the inside of the top cap. So these 4 airflow controls slant down here. Oh, now I understand. The reason there's 4 is that they're in slightly different places and they go high and low. I guess I sort of unconsciously knew that, but I didn't make a note. So the airflow is not overdone. I mean, I'll give them a little bit of credit here. This is not too much metal. I don't love the bezel at the bottom of that. I prefer that if that were perfectly smooth coming up there. But I think that the bottom of the RDA is going to touch this. It'll be fine. It should meet just fine. But if you see here how smooth that is on the top, that's a good thing for flavor. So we should do okay there. Hey, Tidane Sila. Bonjour, monsieur. I don't speak good French, but you are certainly welcome here. It's great to see you. We have a couple of French viewers. Our friend Chili Dog lives in France. He's actually a British immigrant who lives in France and works there in the EU, which is so great. One of our good buddies. Let's go through the case and see what you get with this thing. Obviously, you get the matte black colored case on the top of this, on this particular one. And then it comes with a plastic polycarbonate top that this is only wet, obviously, because I had this in the ultrasonic earlier. So remember that if your gear comes wet, return it immediately. I say that all the time. But this thing, I suppose if you had a Trinity cap, you'd be happier. But this feels a little cheap, and we're going to use it. But I'm not sure I love this thing. Vandy Vape always includes a good kit in here. You see there is a 510 adapter, which we might use. Extra O-rings. Allen key for the squonk pin, a regular squonk pin, a Phillips head screw, number 0, by the way. All the good stuff, plus a little manual. And the manual's pretty useless. It tells you to build it. That's the instruction right there when you build it. This is the drip tip it came with. Now, let's go in and put some coils on this. Zoom down so it's a little closer. Wow. Hello. Oh, I'm a little closer. Oh, I'm a little bit closer. All right, so we're going to focus this a little differently. All right. What we've got to do, and I see what they mean. You could have vertical coils in here and be dripping down inside there. I'm going to grab some random coils out of my bag here. These aren't going to be special by any means, but they should work just fine. I quite honestly have no idea where these came from, so good luck. These look to be fused Claptons. Yep. And what is that, 2-core? Like it's dual cores. Just going to take a look at this. So if you build vertically, clearly you can just pop one in there and one there and then go that way, sideways, and for horizontals. In any case, when you do this, your coils are going to be rotated just a little bit because of the orientation of this thing. A little strange. Like I lost one of my grub screws. These aren't like a hazard if they fall out. They're pretty large and they go in quite easily. I've noticed. Just unscrewing them, just doing a dry fit here. This has to unscrew almost all the way to fit in these fused Claptons. I'm pretty happy with that. Squonking's going to go down right over the coil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut one of these and then cut the other one to match. They should be fairly identical. I see that it's moving a little bit as I do that, so that's going to be a little... I slightly prefer it when coils stay completely put where I put them. When you tighten things down, but with all these weird decks, you end up paying a little price like that. Turn this around. Taking a look at how much length I want. I want that to be just about right there. And like I said, I'm just going to do the other one exactly the same in here. It looks like I have a little too much lead there because it pushed it back a little bit when I screwed it down on the top lead. I'm going to adjust for that by just pushing it in a little more with my thumb. You back these grubs out and then push them back in. They seat really nicely. I must say, I absolutely detest the way this deck looks, but building on it, honestly, not very tough. I don't like how this lead doesn't go in here. So my method is going to be to overdo it and push pretty far, and I'll just stretch it out. Even so, look at that. It's still got a lump. I'm going to be fine. Not worried about it. What really matters is that both the leads are the same length. That doesn't want to move an iota from the bottom. Interesting. Okay. So how are we doing here? I think maybe we're a little too close to the post there. I'll tell you what, I'm going to back off my old, since these aren't very tight yet. Back that off a little bit. It is good though. Looking at it straight down, I can totally see air between them, so that's what's important. Hello, Vapors Vape. Hey, Brandon Taft. How are you, buddy? There's our friend Brandon. We were just talking about you. Hope you're doing well. For sure. I definitely do. Hope all of you are doing well. It's been kind of a depressing week for vaping with all of the terrible... I mean, what's happening is that so many forces... In the 90s, a bunch of states busted the tobacco companies, but the settlement the tobacco companies came up with was genius. They fooled them into all linking income to replacing the income they're getting from cigarettes. Let me say that differently. I'm sorry. I was thinking about something else. All of their deals linked people quitting smoking to tobacco companies paying them more money for how many people quit smoking. And so tobacco companies need to be in control of who's quitting smoking because they're the ones that profit from this. And governors, we're talking about a lot of money, so governors always listen to this crap. You know what I've noticed is that it might be possible just to clip these. It's kind of friendly. The way the holes aren't actually anywhere near each other on this. So all the governors in the United States, and this is not a party thing, this has nothing to do with Republicans or Democrats. This is seriously just something that happened legislatively years ago that we need to fix and get the tobacco companies off of the payroll from our states. That's what we need to do. It all happened while I was a 20-something in the 90s. What are you doing there? Taking a look at that, just feeling it with my finger. So, like I said, I don't really love the way this deck looks, but I must say I am kind of a fan of building on it. It's a little bit easy. Gosh, did I say that? What happened to the pulse, though? I mean, the pulse is supposed to be postless. This isn't postless. This is the farthest thing from postless ever. This is some crazy custom post in the middle of your pulse. Your pulse posts. Credit where credit's due. Like I said, it is extremely easy to build on just because of where everything is. In this case, I'm not sure I'm down with the sacrifice, though. Okay, so we look pretty good. Looking at it from down top, I can see air on at least with my eyeballs, going through there. We look up, we're pretty good. And our squonk is going to come over the top. I'm going to put this on an RDA. Have you guys seen the Pulse V2 that is coming out here pretty soon? If you guys have, chime in. Tell me what you guys have planned for this weekend, too. I'm always curious to know what other people are up to. Hello. Need some batteries. I just happened to have tons of batteries charged. And I happen also to have some new 2700s. Oh, but they're split up. Oh well, no big deal. I'm going to use my good old faithful 20. Sanyo, which is Panasonic. Guess I could have done this before. I absolutely worship the Capo 216, as you guys know. This is definitely one of the best. Definitely one of the best mods I own. Oops. They're charged. Yeah. Somebody please excoriate me for putting uncharged batteries in my kit. Getting these out of the rubber case. Okay. Having two batteries, 2700s especially, and a squonk is so nice and so useful that it boggles the mind how I ever lived without it before. In fact, I didn't really buy any squonkers until this double was available, and I love it. The new Pulse is a dual. It's just like this. He totally copied it in a good way. I think he should. Okay, our reading on here is 0.2. It seems okay. This is just pulse firing at 30 watts. I don't know what's happening here, but we're just going to give it a few pulses just to see what's up. Just a few seconds. Yeah, we need a little grooming. They're looking pretty good. Hey, Owen, nice to see you. Old Vape Guy Gary is mentioning the Ultim inserts with the Pulse V2. He likes that. I love the idea of having the different airflow inserts in there. That's cool. Especially if they can control the leaking and weeping that might occur because of that. It would be really cool if they got a feature like that working and it not really make a mess. We're looking pretty good. Not too shabby. Looks like a win, guys. All right, so let's batten down the hatches here one more time. I always take another hit at the screws to make sure they're tight after we do our test fires. I'm gonna let that cool down just a little bit. I have some Texas Tough juicy wicks right here, of course, as always. And I'm gonna use that with my Capo 216 squonker. These are little 3mm coils in here. Let's see how that thing works. Little lump right there. There we go. It's gone. Little lump is gone. So far, what do you guys think? I mean, I haven't had any trouble. It hasn't been particularly tough. We're going to see the squonk action work here in just 1 second. Using my Ginger embroidery scissors, like I always do. And I'm using my less is more technique, which is another way I do. This thing has a pleasantly short deck inside there. And I think it ought to be maybe a little bit deeper, but I'm not complaining too much. I do think that they did an okay job of providing enough deck underneath there. I'd like to see more height on the sides, because if the coils sit down a little more, they generate just a little tiny bit less side spray. But I think it's fine. The reason I put a lot of cotton in the bottom of this is because there's going to be a lot of dead cotton in this, because the uptake on the bottom isn't going to be suitable. It's just a natural fact if you have the top squonking. And it can be okay. Like, for example, the dot squonk is a acceptable compromise there. All right, let's put some more Yummy Latiza in here. Just making sure we have some in there. There's plenty. There's plenty for my illustration purposes here. Isn't there, though? Hey, TD Wester, good morning. Hey, Ubervates. Oh, he's got a concert tonight and bowling all day tomorrow? That sounds fun as hell. Are you kidding? How great does that sound? Hard to feel sorry for you, buddy. What about the rest of you nunchucks? What are y'all tearing up this weekend? We are going to try to go see the Christmas Light Festival, which happens in Seattle. And I'm going to try to get out to Bremerton today. That's what I want to do, to see my friends at Good Juice Vape. I need to pick up some more of the purple version of this, too. As you guys know, I love it. And blue, sorry. Purple and blue. And, what else? Have a look here, guys. I feel pretty good. Almost ready to vape. I'm going to do a little bit of a... Oh, I forgot we're on 30 watts. Okay, so it's 0.2. Let's go up to about 65 or 70 watts. We're getting there. Up to 80. All right. Let's watch that squonk action. Let's zoom in. I zoomed in the wrong way. There's our squonk. Yeah. There it goes down over the coils. I actually don't mind this method of squonking, and if I don't get too much dead cotton in there, because I'm actually vaping it out, I will be satisfied. That is the calculation that you run with these. Right now, I'm just waiting until the cotton's fully saturated. Texas Tough holds so much e-liquid, so I have to make sure that it's fully on its game before I keep going. All right, let's put the lid on this thing. Let's do it. I have an 810 I'm putting inside there. We got the airflow on halfway. Since there's 6 holes, I have 3 open. I'm gonna pop on the top and give it a lock. I really like the top locking. That's a great thing. Just take it off here and show you guys. There's the bottom of the squonk pin. This is number 12125. Vandy Vape 180728. And hey, James Rivera. Hey, Martin Futrell. It's great to see you, buddy. Okay, here we go. All right, let's give this a vape. So far, that was a little muted, kind of a first vape kind of thing. I think maybe it's down a little bit low. 90 watts, air halfway. I like the resistance of the airflow. That's pretty good. Yeah, I'm not dying. Hey out there, if you're just tuning in, I'm Eli Juicy Jones. This is Orbital Vaping Headquarters, and you're watching VapeAM. VapeAM is the morning show, Wednesdays and Saturdays. This is episode 212, so we've been doing this for 3 years. I had another show I had 80 episodes of. Anyway, every Wednesday, every Saturday, click like and subscribe when we come to the reviews and news and other kinds of chat and an evolution of vaping. Our focus is on science and the technology of vaping and understanding how it works and community and quitting smoking. That's what we do. So I just built this thing. Let's take another look at it underneath. Just took a couple of puffs on it. So far, so good. Pretty good flavor. It's not exactly Twisted Messes flavor yet. Let me see what happens if I go up to 100 watts, or 99 actually. It's definitely improving. So it feels a little bit muted, the flavor. Like I felt I should be getting a little bit more Latisse out of that. But it is working. The squonker functioning the way it should. I'm using my pinky. And you'll notice the stuff in the bottom is still pretty dry. And that's because you're not really using that part. You're just using the stuff between the coils and right next to it. Oh, pretty good. I kind of like this. It kind of has a good smooth airflow. The flavor is too muted for me though. I can't explain why. Has a great vape, but it's just not blowing me away. Wonder why that is. My coils, it might be. These look like Canthal dual core Claptons at 0.2. They're not aliens, which I'm kind of accustomed to, so that might be it. So would I use this thing? Actually, yes. It's kind of easy to build. I don't love the contraption in the middle, and I think the flavor is a little bit muted. So honestly, going back to, say, this guy, my Pulse V1, this has much better flavor just right out of the cake for some reason. Yeah, that's much better, and I can't exactly tell you why. The top cap seemed to be shaped kind of separately, or kind of similarly. I think it could have something to do with the fact that that big metal thing in the middle just isn't really doing it for flavor. Although, you know, we have post decks with holes and stuff in them that seem to do just fine. So it might be that we need a little bit more air over the top for it to be any good. Hey, David Harms. Hey, good morning. Oh, I have to sneeze. Big one. Sorry about that. The original Pulse. The Pulse X is just not, what is it? Now, it's not getting super duper hot, and I like that. James Rivera says, bless you, thank you. Thanks so much, I appreciate that. And I love the way it locks into the top, but I'm just not really that excited about the flavor. I'm sorry to say that. I always wish things were better than they are. So this thing vapes great, but I'm just not convinced. Martin Futrell says that Juicy almost snapped his spine with that sneeze. Ha ha ha. No, did I look funny? I wasn't even looking. I'll bet I did. Last week, we had an episode where I threw my back out and it was terrible. Just right before the show, I was doing something and my neck got thrown out and I was sitting here like, the whole time. And you guys are so patient. Thank you. Hi, John Vapes. Nice to see you. So the Pulse X, there it is. We built on it. The vape is good. The flavor is a little muted. I'm disappointed to say. Squonking action works great. That's my favorite kind of squonking, right onto the coil. To me, that's the best kind. No need to have any other kind of squonking. Squonking with wells and reserves and stuff, not a good idea. The reason is because the action of moving the liquid from the well up into the coil is what the cotton's doing, and the cotton is not like a vacuum cleaner or a train or a straw or something. It's a little bit like a straw, kind of. It's just waiting. You have to wait a fixed amount of time for this stuff to go up. So it's better to have it all happen closer to the coil, because it's not an elevator. It's it's barely a conduit. You have to wait, like I said, just for it to happen. And very often there'll be enough e-liquid left in the top of your coil so that the action won't happen at all, and the stuff will just stay fallow in the bottom of your RDA. So wells and reservoirs and stuff and RDAs for squonking are not a good idea, and you guys have seen review after review where I've said this exact same thing and poo-pooed on that. This one is not having a big problem with that, so it's not too bad. Martin Futrell saying, would I recommend this one? I don't think I would, and it's not because it's not easy to build, and it's not because I don't like the airflow, because I do. I'm going to say some good things about it. I like the airflow. I like how it's easy to build. I love how the top cap locks on it. Like, that's fantastic. I've been saying everyone for years, ever since the cheetah, that everyone should copy that, and they finally did. It's easy to build without clipping everything and ruining your coils, and that's really cool. I just think that this bunch of metal up here interferes with the flavor. Top cap is shaped correctly inside. The dome is right. So they got a lot of things right with this. And I just think the result is this doesn't taste very good. I'd still like to see this with a velocity deck, like always, or just postless, like the Cali. Show me Cali. Not bad, but it's not great either. I mean, if you compare it to, say, the Goon, which is immediately better. Where's my Goon? Drip tip, please. If you don't mind. Here it is right here. Whee! I'm vaping the same Latiza on this one. This one's at 0.16. The flavor is much better. So, can't really explain that. I was wrong, by the way. This is my Goon, not my Cali. They look similar. Cali's a little taller. The Cali has 0.19 in it, so it's almost the same. It's 0.12 as well. These are what the Cali looks like. Right on top there. Even better. The Cali is great. It's my favorite RDA. Hate to harp on it, but for some reason, the flavor on this thing is just better, and the leak profile, the weepiness, everything, all of it is better in almost every way than every other RDA I own. I don't know if I say that for every RDA. Chris Callahan saying the Pulse 24 V2 should be the best of the bunch. Let's hope so. I definitely think so. The Pulse V1, this little guy right here, was my favorite atomizer from last year. This won 2017 Best RDA of the Year from me. And Pulse V2 would be cool for it to come out. And it's going to have some pretty tough competition, though, because honestly, competing against the Cali is pretty darn tough. The Cali does so many things right. They have the main mass of the atomizer is over empty space, so it's cool, has no heating problem. They put in the correct kind of O-rings with the right kind of lip at the bottom and a tall side, and so there's not a lot of weeping down the sides. And they also put in a giant shotgun of a squonk pin that is just crazy huge. You can see through this when you're building it. And notice there's not lots of stuff on the actual RDA, whereas we're going to see at this guy, you'll notice that the top locks down over the top. And what it really should do is come down to a little lip and then lock down, in my opinion. And Josh Rhodes, thank you so much for reminding me. Let us take the clear cap. What was I thinking? First, as you can see, I need to drip. Oh, yes, I do. And I must admit that I think it looks a little better because it's shorter. But the old one didn't look bad either. I don't like the plastic. That is a lot better. A lot better. Yeah, it's a lot better. I mean, I guess if you like the way this looks, you could do that. I'm not a huge fan of how that looks, to be quite honest. But it is way better. Cloud production is good. The vape is good. It's got a very smooth airflow. Chris Callahan, rocking the Pulse X with a clear top cap as a dripper on my Taran mech. Works great. That's cool, man. So glad. Christopher Manna says he digs it. That's cool. I must say, I like this quite a bit better with the plastic top cap. Much better with the plastic top. But it can't really beat against my dot RDA, can it there? Although, yeah, I mean, this is a little bit more restricted. Looks kind of ugly. Looks a little bit like a medical device. But the vape is pretty good. Yeah, the cloud production is fantastic. I'm absolutely enjoying just the vape of it because this vaping is good. So they really got the airflow feeling right. They didn't quite nail the flavor. I'm going to get that Pulse X. I'm sorry, I'm going to get the Pulse V too as well. We're definitely going to look at that. I'm Eli Juicy Jones. This is the end of the actual technical part of this. So if you're watching on the replay, you're off the hook. And if you want to bust out, that's just fine. Go ahead and go. And if you want, stay here though. And we're going to have a live discussion with everybody on here. And until then, click like and subscribe down here. I love all you guys. This has been the Pulse X. And thank you so much, Gary, for sending this thing in. Stick around. Hello, I'm back. All right. So this is the hangout section. It's time to hang out. Hangout time. Let me just close that guy. My thing back up. Here we are. You see there's a lot of condensation in there. Hey, Robbie Brink. Shout out. The plastic top works well. It's condensation all over, but it's not leaking at the top. And it's not weeping at the sides either, which is nice. Here's another big fat squonk on it. It comes out of the top. I gotta use some of this up. There we go. And Christopher Manis is asking, it hasn't leaked at all, and not so far. I haven't had any problem. The plastic cap seems to be doing a little bit better than the metal one, but the metal one was okay. I'm sorry, I should be showing you this. Here I am staring down at it. So you've done a couple of squonks, and I don't see a big mess. The VGPG of this e-liquid is 70/30. If that's what you're asking me. What are you finally vaping, Robbie? Since you're vaping. Chris Callahan is suggesting rubbing e-liquid on the inside to build up a little layer of it with a paper towel. Kind of like the way you would use like Rain-X or something like that. Not a bad idea. We can sort of like do a little version of that here. She said rub a little bit on there, leave it overnight, and it'll be a little bit better. So that's a basic. That seems like a pretty, not a bad hypothesis, to be honest. Because you're leaving a little bit in there for it to cover. And the water may very well slide over it. All of these things are hydrophilic, meaning that e-liquid behaves just like water in as much as it has the hydrogen wants to make a covalent bond with that oxygen. It isn't covalent, is it? It wants to make a bond with the oxygen in the silicone. So that's the definition of hydrophilic. It behaves just like water, so this may work. Yeah, nice. Good tip. Thank you. That's cool. James, is it James that's getting the Cali too? Oh my goodness. That's so great. The new kit has got, sorry. The new kit has a 510 in it, and no, not the 510. It has an 810 adapter built in all the lids. It's really cool. Brandon says he had to go get his appendix looked at last night at the ER, but they say it looks okay. So it looks like the shunt from his brain surgery is messing with his stomach. Oh yeah, that's right. You were having a little pain down there. Gosh, I hope they get that worked out pretty quick. Jeez, that's awful. David Harm says like a cast iron skillet. Yes, like a cast iron skillet, except that there are no pores in the plastic for the oil to get down in there, and it's not oil. So unfortunately, it can't ever work that well. But wouldn't that be cool? Maybe I'll make a cast iron RDA and see what happens. It'd be so hot. Although, would it be heavy? But cast iron would absorb a lot of heat before it felt hot, wouldn't it? Because it just wants to absorb it. It wants to hold it. It doesn't want to radiate it out. It's a basic thing with RDAs that you want them to be made of stainless steel, because stainless steel absorbs more heat energy before it feels hot to you, meaning it's radiating heat energy out. And so aluminum, for example, will absorb heat energy very quickly and then radiate it out immediately. And so it always feels hot until it's completely cooled down. But here's an interesting thing about aluminum. It doesn't actually take a lot less time for aluminum to cool down than stainless steel. It's just that it feels hotter while it's doing it, and it's a little bit quicker. So a little metallurgy trivia for you there. Go stainless if you can. Brandon Tapp says, yeah, cast iron would be hard to heat up. I mean, it's going to absorb a lot of energy before it wants to actually feel hot, because all those molecules in there are just like, ah. But carbon steel, you would think it would. I would love to see. I'm going to actually go look this up later after the show. Maybe you guys can too. We can talk about it next time. But I'm really kind of interested in this now, because I've never considered cast iron for that, but I imagine it would be just too heavy. Stainless, I bet it would be all. My theory is, or my hypothesis is that the result will be that it is just so close to stainless steel that it's not worth the weight. But that's interesting. Not going to cool off, yeah. But that's kind of the way the stainless steel ones are now. It's just that we don't mind too much. Like, you'll notice, you'll kind of forget about it and go, oh yeah, it's cool now. But like, if you don't have to touch them, some of these have intrinsic problems. Like the Pulse V1 has a problem with the way it's constructed. You'll notice that the hottest part of the vape is right over the biggest mass in the atomizer. So there's a big mass of stainless steel right below the hottest part of the vape. So that heats up so fast. But if you look at something like the Kali, I gotta say, this Vandy Vape Pulse X is growing on me. If you look at something like the Kali, the hottest part of the vape is over a dead space of air. And so this thing does not want to heat up. And they all share, of course, the characteristic that they get hot in the walls, clearly. Because if, clearly they absorb heat from convection. But it's only convection, it's not conduction. Unless they're transferring it through the walls and the sides. Now that's remotely possible with the Pulse X, maybe. Martin Futurella is saying enough metal talk. He works on the Tesla lines, building the bodies, and he sees a lot of steel and aluminum work. That's great though. What a cool thing. I'd love to hear more about that. Chris Callahan has the Taran RDA made of copper, and it stays cool. Great RDA. Good squonk. Not so much for dripping. Runs on our pulse. That's cool. Good for you. Nice to hear. Christopher says he's jealous. Martin worked at the Tesla plant. Me too. That's really cool. Oh, Robbie, you can vape juice in stores now. So is that a law change for you guys? What's the story there? Or were you banned from your local vape shop? Just kidding. That'd be pretty funny though, wouldn't it? I can't believe you're up, Robbie. Actually, I figured you'd be putting your computer together. I figured. Oh, I get it. I get it. I get it. Well, you lied to us, or I didn't know you weren't 18. But more power to you. That's great. Now that you're 18, that's fine. I guess what I didn't know didn't hurt me in that case. Martin Futrell says it's neat, but they also do the Malibus. That's cool. Oh, really? Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't mean to accuse you of lying. Maybe you didn't. All in good humor. Did not mean to insult you or anything. So, Martin, what other bodies do you guys do there? I'm curious. I didn't know the Malibus were made in the same place as the Tesla bodies. That's very interesting. Yeah, Robbie, most likely I'm just forgetting. That's the most likely thing. You know I love you. Okay. Cream and tea is delicious. Sweet cream. In fact, I was thinking about you the other day, Robbie, because I just picked up that empty bottle from the last bottle of juice that you sent me, and I kind of laughed because I was like, why am I keeping this bottle? But it was pretty good, that's why. Frank Einstein, so why in Seattle does everyone freak out when I vape outside? I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, Seattleites aren't super vape friendly. There isn't like a big vape scene here. And they don't usually freak out when I vape, but they sometimes give me looks too. How are they freaking out on you when you're doing that? Martin's working at Challenge Manufacturer Plant number 7 in Kansas City, Missouri. So it's a contractor thing. So they sort of contract out to buy the bodies. Yeah, that's cool. Interesting. Thanks, Robbie. That's nice of you. Appreciate that. It is a great community. I love all you guys. Thanks all much. All of you. So much. Really appreciate it. Let's see. Brandon says he thinks vaping the MJ. Oh, because I'm forgetting. I get it. He says, you're probably vaping the MJ because you're forgetting. Frankenstein says, yeah, there isn't a big scene in Tacoma either. Just get a lot of the dirty looks when we smoked. Yeah, there's like, I mean, it's true. In Seattle, they still have this like very like you're still smoking kind of attitude towards vaping. And I have a hard time trying to pierce through that a lot of times. But, you know, all you can do is just, if people ask, tell them like I'm not smoking. And the whole point is to have people quit smoking. We have a very, very, very anti-vaping state liquor and tobacco and vape control board here. And they are absolutely the most unreasonable, unscientific, unfriendly assholes on the planet. And so they're doing everything they can, extra legally, not legally, to make sure that vaping stays stigmatized. So I'm sure they have something to do with it. They're not helping anyone quit smoking, I'll tell you that. It really bothers me what they do over there. And Martin says everyone there keeps hollering about popcorn lung. And of course, the whole point is that 1, popcorn lung never happened from any vapor. And 2, that isn't even proven that it's going to happen from vape, although it may. I admit that it might. The point is harm reduction. The whole point is not about popcorn lung. The whole point is dying of cancer. What would you rather have? The possibility of popcorn lung and no one's ever gotten it, or an almost certainty of dying of lung cancer? Easy decision. Frank Einstein knows people who work for the Liquor Control Board and vape. It's funny. Yeah, they're not reasonable in the state. They're crazy. There's one officer in particular there who's really on a hell bent. This woman is just absolutely hell bent on making sure vaping never happens in Seattle, and she's just wrong, dead wrong, and she's also not obeying the law. She's not obeying the law. So I'm sure maybe she can sleep at night. I don't know, but she's not doing a good thing. People are dying of cancer, and she's trying to make sure that we can't help them. Yeah, Martin Futuro's complaining about those Truth TV. Truth TV is 100% funded by tobacco interests. Those are the people who want to make sure vaping doesn't happen so they get the money for trying to help you stay on cigarettes. That's the whole point. Brandon Tapp, didn't they take out the chemical for popcorn lung? Almost entirely, yes. I guess I forgot to mention that, but that's a good point, is that the popcorn lung chemical has almost been eliminated from these things. Most DIYers and all of the manufacturers for the flavors have reformulated to get people flavors that don't have those things. You can still get them. Frank Einstein, off my soapbox now. Nice. Good one. Yeah, the diacetyl menace is not a menace, and the whole point is for us to not smoke. Like, that's really just as basic as you can make it. Not smoke. Not smoking is better than all alternatives. which is smoking. Definitely not smoking. And I don't care if you're using the gum or vaping or anything else. As long as you're not smoking, you're doing okay. Use a patch, use the gum, vape, whatever it takes. Even if you have to dual use for a little while, try to reduce the number of cigarettes that you're smoking because it's so important. You really don't. So I know a lot of people still smoke a cigarette or two because they have bad triggers in the morning. This happens all the time. Or eating is really tough because they have a trigger there. Or maybe they're bored in the car. That was another major trigger for me. And it can be really difficult to kind of defeat those. But having a strong vape is good with some nic salts. And if you have to dual use a little, in your mind, you can get a strong e-liquid and then try to wean yourself down off the cigarettes over time. Martin Futrell got 3 of his coworkers on vaping. You accomplished that. Good for you, buddy. Great job. Very good job. Frank Einstein couldn't use the gum. Yeah, I didn't really have good luck with the gum either, to be quite honest. And he liked the patch better. The patch was worse for me than the gum, but I used the lozenges. I liked those a lot when I was quitting smoking, and vaping, of course, helped a lot. Although back then, vaping was pretty tough, I must say. You guys all know. I know you all remember how vaping was in the old days. It was a pain. Let's see how my 0.2 build does in the single 21700. This is my dot squonk, and I have one OEM 21700. Oh, it's a 2700A. So this is a 30 amp battery right there. Ramp up time is terrible. Yeah, the ramp up time is absolutely horrible. That has to do with the number of cores inside there and what they're made of. So what I should get is triple core nichrome. I think it would work the best in a single mech. Frank Einstein says that vaping is the only thing that kept me off Chantix. No, kept me off. Chantix didn't give me weird dreams. I smoked a week after the pills were gone. So the Chantix didn't work afterwards. I got you. Yeah, the Chantix worked great for me during the time. I mean, I was really like, wow, I don't want to smoke. And that was cool. I got out of the habit. But I did have the weird dreams. And in fact, the fellow that died and was killed in Dallas, that was a friend of mine from college. Pretty sad. I knew that guy. His name is Carter. So vaping, especially with these nic salts, is more than twice as effective as all of the other quitting methods combined, including Chantix, the gum, the patch, cold turkey, everything. And Chris Callahan says if you have ADHD, stay away from Chantix. So maybe that's it. Maybe that had something to do with it. Owen says his single mech is a flat 23 nichrome 86 wrap. Yeah, I get the flat is a good idea. And the 23 inside. You need a little bit more in the middle there, I guess is what we're getting at. For a lower ramp up time on this. Good build. Good idea. Robbie Brink, he's going to get some stuff for his birthday party. Thanks everyone for helping me get off 6. Good for you. Great to see you, Robbie. Thank you so much. You're such a great guy. Really appreciate it that you tuned in, and I hope you have a happy birthday. Owen says it's 0.9 times 3 inside. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Hey, Travis. Great to see you. Chris Callahan was saying that the ADHD nearly drove me insane with the Chantix, is what we're talking about. Yeah, for me, the weird dreams were okay. I was sort of dealing with it. And then at some point, I mean, I got scared because of the news from Dallas, to be quite honest. And, but it was weird. It's weird because that drug gets in your blood, and what it does is it eats up the nicotine before it goes through your blood-brain barrier. And it's funny because when you smoke, it just tastes like crap, and you don't get nicotine rush to your head at all. It's horrible. The drug is interesting. Chris Callahan said literally crazy too. Yum. The original Pulse is doing great. Can't go wrong there. This little guy needs more battery power with my 0.2 build. It's only got two cores in there. It's not ramping up fast enough. Pretty soon here, we're going to wrap this up. We're hitting the 50-minute mark. That's our call for the 5 minutes. I hope that all of you have a great weekend. Make sure you come join us in Discord. Click on the link down in the description for Discord. Make sure that you follow us on Instagram and on Twitter, because I'm over there as well. Thanks to Mark and Martin and Chris and James and Travis and Old Vape Guy Gary, Frank Einstein, Christopher Manis. I mean, all of you guys. What a conversation. Brandon, Aaron Gentile. Oh, hey, there's Aaron Gentile. I'm so sorry I didn't see this earlier. It said at the smoking area at Disney World, the smokers moved away from me vaping. That's so weird. Thanks, David Harms. I already said Chris Callahan, everybody else, Robbie Brink, and everyone. I hope you guys all have a great weekend. I want you to join us on Discord, like I said. Click on like and subscribe. We'll be back here next Wednesday. And I don't know exactly what we're doing, but we might do that triangular RDA that Gary sent in. So I hope you're having a great day. Thanks a lot. Here we go. Let's vape out. Thank you.